Yeah, I am DJ Jones of all. Money Nail, Chris White, Bodega the DJ, and the one and twos. We all did at the Roundtable Podcast, your source to knowledge. Tonight is a special segment. We're going to talk about money. Obviously, it's going to be a future episode about money, which is going to be more in depth. But I definitely want to touch upon it a little bit, since we're here. So let me start off with this. Money is a controlling mechanism. Okay, money is really used as a tool to control our behavior. And more. We're going to get more further into it, like in the future podcast episode. I don't want to really, give too much, but money definitely is a controlling mechanism to control our behavior. Hence, because we have to get up every day, or whatever the case is, to earn a living, and we have to have money in order to have access to the basic necessities in order to survive in this world, which really mind boggles me, because we as human beings are the most advanced species, but yet we're the only species in the planet that has to pay to live. Money definitely, man, it's really, it's a piece of paper that we give, us as people, we have a social agreement that this is what's worth, and we give it value. But in actuality, money has no true value. It's not a real, it's not a natural resource. But yet, because we have been indoctrinated into thinking that this is something that has really true value into our survival, it definitely has a control in how we act. So, again, money is a controlling mechanism. And, it's a lot to talk about with money, though. A lot to talk about with money. And, when we think about money itself, and where people allow themselves to become enslaved to that ideology, because it is it's an idea that, that was created. And, when it comes down to the history of money and how that came about, it really came about because of scarcity, which at that time, it definitely made a lot of sense in order to control the resources, because there was not enough to go around. So you had to create a system in place that's going to have control of those resources that are scarce. And that's how really the idea of money really came about, as far as, having access to the basic necessities. But I mean, it definitely became more where now, it's become people have used it as a way to manipulate and control. And money is power, because, the strongest, wealthiest people in the world, it's because they have money. They have money, and it has a major influence in a lot of decisions that are made, in this system. So again, man, money definitely is something that, really controls our behavior. The mechanism of labor for income is based on human beings selling their labor as a commodity in the open market. If humans do not have the options to work for a living, then the money system as you know it will be over, because then no one will have any money to buy any goods. And that's how our economic system works. We have to have money in order to exchange, to keep the cycle going as far as like consuming. And that's how the economic system is run in this country, capitalism. But as we see already, with the income gap between the rich and the poor, it's just a serious matter. And it's just going to keep increasing, keep getting more wider. So it's just a really a thing to really consider and to really think about, And for me, I grew up very poor. I grew up in the projects, East Harlem. My mom, my four brothers, we lived in off of public assistance, food stamps, everything. And it definitely takes a toll out of you. And honestly, man, it definitely has an effect on how you behave, because I mean, this is why most people in those conditions definitely result into doing something that, it's illegal, and because of, how money definitely, gives them the access to the things, not only that they need, but the things that they want. And again, it gives them control of a lot of things, especially over people when you have money. So money definitely, man, it's a lot, man. It's a lot more to money though, man. But like when I think about money and everything, man, we have to really take in consideration that, we become so blinded by this idea that, many of us think that it's real. It's a real thing. And, it's an illusion. money is an illusion. It is an illusion. It's something, again, I just said earlier, that we just basically, come up, we have this social agreement about giving value to this piece of paper, and that's what it is. But then again, you can't eat that piece of paper. The analogy that I always use is that, if you go to, you get stuck at a stranded island, remote island, sorry, and you have $1 billion in the suitcase, but if you don't have any arable land to grow food, there's no fishes in the sea for you to fish to eat. There's no clean water to drink. Then those $1 billion you have in the suitcase don't mean anything. So this is why, people really get blindsided about this idea about money. And money's not scientific, it's made up, and it definitely blocks you from really reaching your fullest potential. I mean, great points, scenario. Look at, the Net the Roundtable podcast. If we had a lot of money, obviously, I think I strongly believe that we'll be at a more higher, space right now. But, again, though, what I'm saying? When it comes to money, we still have this thing that we have to have money, in order to really, get somewhere where we want to reach, because, it becomes a barrier if you don't have that amount, money to really, support each other and use that, But, again, man, money is definitely it's a controlling mechanism. It's been, people definitely, they actually understand the system. They know the system very well, especially the wealthy people that are definitely up there at the top tier. They understand that, They definitely understand that. And, money's definitely has been, been used as a way to really control human behavior. And it's always been like that since the dawn of time, when, we actually, created that whole idea of money. It's kind of crazy too, man, because, it's a lot of things, obviously, when we look about money, there's a lot of things that money can't buy, for sure. I mean, that's granted, something that is, it's just, you just can't do it. I mean, one particular thing that I always say is love. Money can't buy love. Like, it's something that just can't be bought, something that it has to be created within you, yourself. But I will never forget this quote, man. One of my closest friends, who's my mentor, he told me something that I'll never forget. He was like, yeah, money can't buy love, but it sure could buy you a lot of sex. And that really hit me, because it does for a lot of people. It does for a lot of people. It may not buy you love, but it can sure buy you a lot of sex. And again, it goes back what I was saying. Money is a controlling mechanism. It controls your behavior. It controls how you act. Especially when you become so enslaved to it that that's all you really, depend on and you look at, and you don't really see the other picture of it. But again, like the system itself, they'll definitely put these peoples in, put us, I don't want to say people, but us in this position in order to really survive in this world. So, money definitely changes everything, man. Changes a lot of things, man. Changes the whole perception, the way we look about, the way we look at life. And it's a lot of things, man. So, listen, man, I want to leave it like that. I don't want to really go, just, ramble off too much. I definitely want to save it for the future episode podcast, man, money, because there's a lot to talk about. It's definitely going to be like a 3-hour episode for that, man. It's going to be a 2-part episode. So, listen, we got a lot of things to discuss, but I want to just, give a quick shout out to every listener, viewer that's actually been on, listening to Dinner at the Roundtable podcast, from the beginning. To all our new listeners and our new viewers that's, jumping in and definitely, tuning into us now. I appreciate you guys as well. We independent, we up and coming. We're doing a lot of things. Shout out to my co-hosts, Nelly Nell, Chris Wright, Bodega the DJ, Dinner at the Roundtable podcast. We do it every Sunday evening. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your support so much. So yeah, so I'm going to sign off, John Tavar, Dinner at the Roundtable podcast, future episode, money.